Hello, my friends. I'm very happy to be with you. As the song says, swiftly fly the years, and one season follows another, and well, time flies in one word. And these times have been very tough for many people. They have been very difficult for many people. And you know what? That brings me back to very old conversations with a very good friend of mine. I don't know who has heard of her. She was Maureen Solomon. She was the president of the National Health Federation for many years, an absolute leader. She was a trailblazer in alternative medicine, in natural medicine, in good food, good eating, supplementation, you name it. And I remember her, many times she was talking of something that never in my wildest dreams did I ever think this would come true in my lifetime. Every time she was talking about being ready, being healthy, having a body that's prepared to face health challenges, every time she talked about that, she brought everybody back to the example of the Spanish flu in the beginning of the 20th century, in 1919, 1918. And she always talked about that. And then she mentioned how many people died. But also she mentioned how many people went through it untouched. And how many of them got the illness, but were able to bounce back, were resilient, they were able to heal and continue living. So she mentioned about what made the difference between those that were not touched by the disease and those that had problems with the disease. So that is how important her conversation used to be. But of course, you're talking about the Spanish flu, you're talking about 1919. Well, it's interesting, it's everything, but I mean, the bottom line is, who cares? And as an example, it's very good, and sure, you can think a lot of these things, etc. Fast forward 100 years, and then we saw it. We have been living through it for now almost 2 years, or past 2 years. We have seen a disease that comes out of nowhere. That's a real evil. Those of you that have suffered from it know how your body feels, how everything seems to fail, how your energy is nowhere to be found. And all those things, when you have it, and you see how people do, boy, do you worry about them. Sure, you worry about those people. And you worry that they can cope with it, that they can meet the challenge. And unfortunately, I personally know, and I'm sure many of you know, people that couldn't make it. Even though they did everything the book says, they just couldn't make it. But on the other hand, just as my good friend used to say, there were those that were untouched, that were able to glide through the disease without getting any problem. And there were those that, even though they had the disease, were able to heal back, that had a minor clinical picture, that had symptoms and problems, yes, but a few weeks later they were completely back to normal. So there's this difference that Maureen was talking about with the Spanish flu. I talked to her so many times, so many hours, that I could distinctly tell you, I could tell you for hours, all the recollections and information she had about the Spanish flu, and I was looking at the problem and I was living it once again. I never thought that in my lifetime I would ever get to see something like this, because I was convinced that the medical armamentarium, that the medical knowledge was way up there. You're talking about 100 years difference. How much have we learned in 100 years? What medications do we have now? Antibiotics, fancy surgeries, microscopic techniques, biochemical controls, antibodies, monoclonal antibodies, and you name it. Medicine has advanced a big deal. No one can deny that. The medicine they did 100 years ago to the medicine we do today, I mean, I cannot even begin to compare it. There's no comparison. There's no way to put them together. So the question is, what happened? We had exactly the same picture 100 years ago, in spite of everything we have learned about the human physiology, about the human body, about the antibodies, about the immunological system, about chemicals and pharmaceuticals and surgical procedures, and you name it. A total different medicine with the same clinical picture. People that get sick and you hardly know what to do with them. People that are amidst a big problem and you don't know how to prevent it. And all you can think of is exactly what they did in the Middle Ages. Confinement, isolation, a mask, these type of things, because we didn't know any better. We couldn't do any better. So the big question is, what happened? Why 100 years after the Spanish flu? Why 400 years after the plague? We still are subjected to the same type of terrible responses when the time comes to meet a big health challenge. We don't seem to have any better tools. We have them for a lot of things, but we don't have them for this. We're still exactly in the same position. Just think of how many people have gotten the disease and how many of them died because of the disease, and how little we knew about it, and how little we could do for many of them. And the answer, to me, is quite basic. On one hand, we were changing medicine. We were learning more. We were finding a big deal of information about the biochemistry, the physiology, the immunological systems, hormonal systems, you name it. We were learning more and more and more, getting fancier equipment, fancier medical equipment, more sophisticated, more complicated, that could produce much better information and so on. But we forgot one simple thing. Anything you do, anything you know about the human body doesn't work if you don't take care of the human body. It's that simple. On one hand, yes, I can go to a blackboard and go reaction by reaction of everything that happens with everything you do in your body. And I'm going to be able to tell you about hormones and systems and connections and you name it. But on the other hand, I close my lab, walk out, and eat junk food. To me, it's very simple. We're learning about something, then we go and do the opposite. Let's say you're an engineer, and you learn about rebar and concrete. I have seen many documentaries where they tell you very sophisticated ways to test the resistance of a rebar or concrete and so forth to build a big building. And they do it very well. But if you don't take care of the actual mix of the concrete, if you don't take care of the actual manufacturing of the rebar, all the theory you have about it is not going to work because you're bringing garbage to your building and your building is going to collapse. And we have seen it, unfortunately. We have seen earthquakes where a building collapses when it should not have collapsed because it was officially evaluated, calculated for, let's say, 7, 8 in the Richter scale, and this was a 4, still came down, and then they find out that the concrete and the rebar were not what they should be. The same here. I know we know about the immune system. I know we know about infectious. I know we know about inflammatory diseases. I know we know a lot of these things that are literally killing a lot of people these days just because we didn't ever told the people we're trying to protect, you know what? Everything I know gets nowhere if I don't tell you, I don't show you, I don't guide you how to take advantage of this knowledge. How to enrich your life and your systems with resilience, with resistance, so you're ready to face these health challenges every now and then. And I don't have to tell you that it was very obvious that those that did better were better fit. But those that were weak, diabetic, obese, high blood pressure, that had what they call added pathologies, they did very bad. And many of them died. So that tells me that I'm right. Had I been taking care of my people, had I had them with good weight, had I had them without inflammatory, degenerative diseases, without diabetes, without high blood pressure, without obesity, the outcome of the whole pandemic would have been very different. Don't go anywhere. We have to talk about it. We really have to talk about it and reflect of what might be coming in the future. My dear friends, I'm back with you, and sorry for not telling you before, I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, and you know that I'm coming to you through the courtesy of Truth Be Told Radio Network. We are changing times, we're changing years, we're changing things, so let's refresh our memories and review that this broadcast, you can watch it, you can listen to it every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then there is a repeat of the program at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time on Truth Be Told Radio Network. But the best part, the part that really makes me very happy, is that you can go to different platforms like Spotify, search for Truth Be Told Radio Network, and there you will find us. And we have more than 100 hours of programming like this, where I try to inform you, where I try to give you information that hopefully will guide you through a healthier life, through a longer health span during the years of your life. That you're going to spend longer years traveling and enjoying than the years you're going to spend in a couch, taking medication, taking insulin, taking care of a chronic degenerative disease for which there is no cure, They can control it, but there is no cure. Your doctor will tell you that. You can go to your doctor and say, "Doctor, I heard this guy saying that there is no cure for my diabetes." He will confirm you that there is no cure for your diabetes. He will confirm that there is no cure for your high blood pressure, for your heart disease, for your cancer, for your Alzheimer's. He's going to tell you that unfortunately there is not a cure, but we can control it. We can manage it. But you're going to live with this disease until the last day of your life. So that's why I try to inspire people, see, that they can do better than that. Because a lot of diseases, a lot of the problems that we're seeing nowadays come from the way we live. Now, who has command? Who has the authority to change the way you live? Who's at the helm to say, no, you're not drinking every day. No, you have to stop smoking. No, you're eating a lot. No, you don't buy this food because it's not good for you. You buy these other foods. I ask you, who's in command? Who's at the helm? You. And since you are in control of your life, of your lifestyle, well, you have to learn, you have to be inspired to think better and say, what can I do to treat my body to a healthier life? What happens if there is a next epidemic 20 years from now? I'm going to be strong and healthy. And I'm going to be the part of the people that become caretakers, that look other people suffer and help them. Because I didn't get sick, or because I had a very mild disease. But even if that situation is not in the future, I pray to God that it doesn't happen this again, you will still have the opportunity to live longer years of health and enjoyment and strength and mental focus and happiness. Instead of being confined to a room or to a bed or to tubes or to life-sustaining equipment, any of that. Nobody needs to have a leg amputated because the blood flow is gone. Nobody wants to become blind because I got diabetic very young and didn't take care of it. Because on top of not taking care of your health, many times you get a degenerative disease and then you don't take care of that. And the consequences are dire. They're really dire. You're going to be having a lot of problems like blindness and lack of circulation in the legs and gangrene. I mean, nobody wants that. You see, I had a teacher that said that life is like a buffet. You go through the counter and you pick up everything you want. Don't forget that at the end, you're going to be charged for it. So you can decide what you do with your life, but at the end, you're either going to be rewarded or you're going to suffer the consequences. And the problem is that many times people suffer the consequences very young. So I want you to listen to these messages. You might not agree with everything. I understand. You might have questions or comments to everything I say. I understand. That's why when you're listening to these programs, you can go to the social media of your choice to Instagram, to Twitter, to Facebook, to YouTube, and ask a question and say, doctor, you said this and that. Are you sure? What makes you believe that this is going to happen this way? What is going to make you believe that if I take better care of myself, something very nice and beautiful is going to happen? What makes you think that whatever I do, if I only take a pill, a pharmaceutical, everything is going to be forgotten? You see? So you can ask those questions, and so you can ask your doctor. You can go to your doctor's office next time and say, doctor, is it true that if I don't do this and this, I could have medical consequences? And which are they? He's there for you. He's there for you and to advise you and to guide you. So you have the right to ask a question. Don't. The times when doctors knew best, the doctors where you had to go to university in order to understand a doctor's answer, they're, thank God, gone. You can go to any doctor today when you go have your consultation and ask a question. But remember, you have a friend. I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez. You go to Truth Be Told Radio Network and listen to these programs, or you can go to the social media of your choice and ask a question. And we're talking about everything that has happened in the last couple of years with this pandemic, a disease that came out of nowhere and that really put the whole world on a standstill for months and created a lot of problems. They didn't exist, but everything was a repeat from something humankind has lived before, like the Spanish flu in the 20th century, just 100 years apart. And my big question is, if medicine has advanced so much, as doctors claim that's the case, how come the condition and the outcome of this new pandemic is so similar to whatever happened 100 years ago? And the question is, to me, that this happened because in all these years, with all this knowledge, with everything we learn, we never turned our eyes to ourselves. We were never critical of what we did, and we were never thinking, I can work for my own body. That's something that people don't even know, don't even think of. That's what I want you to do. That's what I want you to do beginning today. I want you to understand that a lot of the problems we're looking at today are because of lifestyles. We're not taking care of our bodies. A very large study in Europe during the pandemic showed that people that had very good levels of vitamin D3 did a lot better. And that many people that died were because they had very low levels of vitamin D. That's a direct association between what we eat, the way we live, and our response to a disease. If we have higher levels of vitamin D, we're going to be stronger, we're going to feel better, we're going to have less problems with bones, we're going to stand straight, no matter if we're getting older. You have seen how people, as they get older, they start to bend, to curve. That's because of low vitamin D. See? And vitamin D will also bring us equilibrium and good feeling and strength, because it not only helps the bones, it also helps the muscles. So you're going to feel stronger. So there you have it. There is a direct association between a lifestyle with good food and sunlight exposure and the outcome of a deadly disease like COVID. That should be giving us a message. And then we could see what were the levels of vitamin C, we could see what are the levels of other things. But we also know that if you had any other pathology, in other words, if your body was weak for any reason, like diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, you name it, then your results with this disease would be a lot worse. Which means that any of those diseases that are a direct effect of lifestyle, you're obese because of lifestyle. Okay? Make no mistake. Absolutely make no mistake. Then if your lifestyle is going to make you more prone to be very sick or even die when you have a disease, it's time to get to work. And that's what I want to begin doing this very same week. I want to start to work right away with you. I want you to, as soon as the program finishes, I want you to close your eyes, think of it, reflect on the thing and say, I'm going to start changing my body. I'm going to make it healthier. I'm going to make it more resilient. Whatever the health challenge comes by, I'm going to be able to respond to it very well. I'll be with you. Dear friends, I'm back with you and we're talking about how we can be healthier, better prepared to face health challenges. Unfortunately, we have gone through the experience of something that I never thought I would live myself through, because I used to talk to a good friend of mine, Maureen Solomon, and she always put the Spanish flu as an example on how stronger people could cope a lot better and succeed in health challenges like the Spanish flu, and then how many people died and how many people suffered simply because their bodies were not up to the challenge. So, with that said, I have to tell you that I wish we could start today, we could start this very same week, thinking of what we're going to do to change that for better. You have today many tools. You can go to Spotify and search for Truth Be Told Radio Network, and you're going to find over 100 hours of programming. Hopefully some of them are going to be inspirational. Some of them will guide you. Some of them will ring a bell. Anything like that. And the advantage, what I love about Spotify, is that anything you like, anything that you loved, you can listen again and again, and you can listen it with friends, with your family, with your church members, and say, hey, I heard this. What do you think? And if you start doing that, you're going to be helping others. Because if you start to wonder yourself, I think he might be right. That will be the beginning of a good path to improve your health and be a lot more resilient, more helpful, and meet the challenges that life might throw at us in the future. So when you do all that, that's going to be very helpful. The other big tool that we have today is social media. You know, we publish recipes, we publish information, we publish a lot of data. All you have to do is follow us. Follow me. I really ask you to follow me on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. You can go and say, I'm going to follow him and see what messages they have this week. We have blogs, we have information that's going to take you 3 minutes, 4 minutes to read. But the more you do it, the more you're going to be able to understand, to comprehend, where am I going to? See, because we have a body that was given to us to take care of, to cherish, to honor. And as soon as you start reading the Bible, even before you leave Genesis, you're going to see that the Lord said, and I give you these plants, and I give you these animals, and I give you these things for you to nourish. There's no mystery. We should be eating all those things that God gave us to use as food. And you don't have to read the whole Bible. You can read the first couple of pages. And you're going to find it. That's how important it is. Almost as important as creation. Because creation would go nowhere if Adam and Eve were not going to survive. See? But if they were able to survive and create humankind, well, they had to eat, they had to develop, they had to nourish their children. And on and on and on through generations. So, to me, it's really a divine message. And all we have to do is to obey. Now, what have we done? What we have done is we turned our backs to food and went to industrial products. We stopped eating the foods God provided to us that come from the farm, that come from the field, and started buying something that comes in a foil, in a box, in a can. And when you read the labels, which I don't understand why you should have to read a label before you eat. I have apples on my desk all the time. And you know why I do that? Because when I talk to people and people tell me, doctor, but I always read the labels, I take an apple or an orange and I say, can you read the label on this product? Of course they smile and say, of course, that doesn't have a label. Then you can eat it. It is God-made. It's safe. It's good. It's going to nourish your body. It's going to enrich your functions. The other thing, you have to read for artificial coloring, for bad fats, for flavoring, for chemicals, for substances that come from I don't know where. But they put them there. I was recently reading a man that I, in many ways, loved what he said because he was talking about vegetable oils. And he was saying, they're not vegetable oils. They don't come out of a vegetable. They come from seeds. They should be called seed oil. Because soybean and corn and canola and all those things come from a seed. Now, seeds are not naturally oily. So what they have to do is they have to use chemical extraction. And once you do that chemical extraction, then you have to get rid of the chemical you use for the extraction, and then you end up with something that is not appealing at all. So what you have to do is you have to use flavoring and coloring and deodorizing it, and so it smells and feels and tastes good. But that's not the way it was in the beginning. And I have seen in some of the social media documentaries where they show how all these fats are made. But they're not healthy. They're not healthy because they are not God-made. They're not natural. What you need is a substance that if you squeeze it, yields the oil. That's olive oil. All you have to do is squeeze an olive, and you're going to get a drop of oil. So that's a natural oil, and it's there for you. That's what it was at the Last Supper's table. That's what they were eating. olive oil. So if it's good for them, it's very good for us. And there are tons of evidence that olive oil not only is good for you, but it's healing. You can improve blood pressure, you can improve heart disease, you can stay away from inflammation, you can do a lot of things just by eating the right oil. So if you have anything else in your pantry, throw it away and buy very good quality, 100% olive oil. And then you're going to see how things change for the better. And that's the type of information I want to share with you. That's the type of information that you need to work on your body and say, olive oil? Oh, wait a minute. You mean that if I take a better oil, I'm going to be healthy? Well, think again. Think of your car. Do you really care what oil goes into the engine of your car? Of course you do. Why? You buy it according to the grade, according to the thickness, according to the quality. If you really take good care of your car, you know you take care of what sort of lubricant you're going to use, because the life of the engine and the performance of the engine depend on the type of lubrication you use. You know that. Then why you should turn around and give your body bad oils? To me, it's common sense. I don't know what it is to you. But click on Facebook, click on Twitter, click on Instagram, send me a message, ask a question. Tell me what you think, and I'll be very happy to discuss it with you and to give you the evidence that I have from medical research. Not just my point of view, but medical research that's out there for everyone to read and review. So when you start making those changes, when you start truly getting at the helm of your health system, of your health management, you're going to start feeling the difference. You say, I feel stronger, I feel more focused, I have better emotional life, I sleep a lot better, I'm more relaxed, I'm not as reactive as I used to be, etc., etc., etc. Because a lot of these symptoms that absolutely are becoming all around us, the bottom line goes to the lifestyle. And the most important part is that they are the vast majority of the diseases that we see today. What is the vast majority? Well, 7 out of 10 people. Count around. 7 out of every 10 people are going to die from any of these lifestyle-associated diseases, which are the chronic inflammatory diseases. Cancer, Alzheimer's, heart disease, vascular disease, strokes, diabetes, high blood pressure, kidney disease. Those are diseases that are going to kill the majority of us, of everyone that's around. The majority is going to suffer from those diseases. And before you die, you're going to be spending your money in laboratory, in doctor's visits, in hospitals, in x-rays, in lots and lots and lots of pharmaceuticals. Is that the way you want to live? No. Follow me. Go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, go to Truth Be Told Radio Network, and follow me. How are you? I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, and I'm with you once again, like every Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, at Truth Be Told Radio Network, and Remember that we repeat the same program every Saturday morning at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. And we've been talking about everything began with a conversation I had many times, because it wasn't once or twice, many times. A good friend of mine always talked about the Spanish flu and how a lot of people suffered, how a lot of people died, but also on the positive side, how many people were able to be survivors, very resilient. Many of them were not even touched by the disease. It seemed like they could go through fire and nothing would happen to them. And the question was that, of course, those that were better prepared, those that were stronger, in any disease like this, the fact that you're stronger means a lot. Those that were younger, I mean, strength and youth go together, and so on, those are the ones that did a lot better. And of course, older people, weaker people, and so forth, they either got terrible disease or they even died. And the big question is, this was 100 years ago. And 100 years after, we have a repeat of the condition, and I don't see the extraordinary difference we should see, considering that during those 100 years, medicine has supposedly advanced a lot. We know a lot. We have huge hospitals. We have a lot of resources. We have a lot more money. So what happened? Well, what happened is that on one hand, we were learning more and more and more medical science, while at the same time creating weaker and weaker and weaker individuals. During those 100 years, you know, something that happened, and I'm just thinking of that. Something that happened is that 100 years ago, let's go back, 1919, we didn't have vegetable oils. Vegetable oils in America appeared in the 1920s, not before. Before that, people used to cook with lard. And one of the reasons why they made the switch is because vegetable oils were a lot cheaper. But if you go back on statistics, you're going to see that heart disease, for example, was very low in the United States. And we started using these oils, we started getting problems. Not only that, but we started bringing salt and sodium in any form. Why? Because sodium is a very good preservative for food. You want shelf life, because you want something that's going to be on a shelf, sitting there for a month before somebody buys it. Because we don't use that much fresh food anymore. We can, we box, we foil. I mean, these aluminum foils that seem to cover everything nowadays. I mean, you go to the supermarket, I see people coming out from the market and they start opening things and boxes, and all of a sudden they have a big bag of garbage where you say, my God, 20% of what you bought is disposable. You don't eat it. And supposedly you went for food shopping. But once you put all the cans, all the boxes, all the wrapping, all the everything, it turns out that you just bought like 70%, 80% of whatever weight you had. That's what you have of food. So fresh food, locally grown, organic, free range, etc., those things for many people mean nothing. And that's what to me has been the big change. On one hand, we were making a fantastic progress in medicine to cure, to solve the problems that our bad lifestyles are bringing about. Because we have all this medical armamentarium to treat diabetics and heart disease and vascular disease and strokes and high blood pressure. So are we working to cure what we are producing? It's insane. We should be working with medicine to avoid other type of diseases, because we, the people, should be taking care of our health. Why? Because it's a commandment. It's in the Bible. You're given a body to take care of it, and you were given the foods that were to honor that body, to nourish that body. It's in Genesis, it's in Leviticus. So all you have to do is say, okay, this is what I have to do. And you know, every time times change, we always have these things of having resolutions. And I wish one of our resolutions this time is, I don't want to see this epidemic again. I don't want to see this pandemic again. I don't want my family suffering. So I want to make sure that vitamin D levels are very good. I want to make sure my weight is right. I want to make sure that everything functions very well within me, so I can face the challenges that life will throw at me. I want to be thinner, stronger, better performing, etc. And that I can do if I follow certain rules. And you don't need to go to the university, you don't need to open a lot of books, you don't need to do anything. Follow me. You can send as many questions as you want, as many times as you want. You can tweet, you can Instagram me, you can face me and say, Doctor, I'm planning to do this for my birthday. Is this food good? Should I do that? Etc. I always tell people, you're going to get tired of asking questions before I get tired of answering questions. Because I love when people want to do something very positive for themselves, very positive for their children, very positive for their family and friends. That's what I love to do. So all I want you to do is follow me. You have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and you have Spotify, where you can search for Truth Be Told Radio Network and get a lot of this information. We have probably 120 hours of information. And you don't have to listen to 120 hours, but you can listen to small segments that then you can share with people you love and say, what do you think of this? Why don't we do this? Why don't you get your children and your spouse and sit down at the table and listen to some of this and say, what can we do? And then turn your head to your pantry, turn your head to your kitchen and say, this should go. And this is what we're going to bring in. Next Sunday, we're going to go to the farmer's market and talk to people that think alike and say, this is all we can achieve. And you're going to be so happy, you're going to be so satisfied, you're going to find it so rewarding, because you know what? You have considered yourself as your most important asset, your most important quest. Because it really pays to be healthy. It pays dearly, it gives you a lot of profit. If you're healthy, you work. If you're healthy, you relate to others. If you're healthy, you do commerce. If you're healthy, you consume. If you're healthy, you are a very important member of your organization, your society, your family, your town. And if you're healthy, it really pays to all of them. And if your children and your family are healthy, they're going to be in the same situation. If you're in a couch, taking medication, not being able to function, not being able to produce anything, you're not an asset anymore. You're a burden. And even in those cases, you can come out of it. That's what BioCare Hospital does all the time. We take people that many times think, I don't think, I'm too far gone, I don't think I'm going to improve. And when they leave the hospital, 10 pounds, 15 pounds lighter and stronger and rosy cheeks, and they can function again and they can control the health problems that they have, they realize that everything was within their own power. Everything was in their hands. And that's what I wanted to understand. That there's a lot of good things that can happen today and tomorrow and in the future if you just take the helm of your health management. And that starts by modifying your lifestyle. BioCare has been doing this for over 30 years. We have had people that come to the hospital because there's a point where they feel they either cannot control it or they need a good kickstart. I need to do something that's going to change my body, my metabolic function, so I can now take control of it. Right now, I don't have the energy, I don't feel as good. I need somebody to support me and give me a good start for these programs. That's what BioCare does. You know, I have a program that says, give me 10 days and I will give you 10 years of much better health. You come to BioCare for 10 days. You do everything you're going to be doing. You're going to be detoxifying. You're going to be eating. You're going to be targeted, supplemented. You're going to have intravenous nutrition. You're going to have all these things, around the clock, during those 10 days. You're going to come out of it with a different health perspective. And if you just continue to do some of the things that I'm telling you, you're going to live much longer, much healthier, without any health disturbance. And I have people that come every so often, every 2 years, every 3 years, because they want to be healthy. They don't want to suffer. And you know what? They do well. And in this pandemic, these people have done very well. So think of it. Plan it. You can call us. We have doctors 24 hours around the clock who will talk to you free of charge. And you can email me questions and comments and everything, and I'll be right back to you without any charge. So it's up to you. But I want to see you for many years very healthy.